as well. Favorite tournament futures, Mike McClure. We're going to start with you. It looks like you have 2 here.
Yes, there's a couple. I was actually maybe going to add another, but look, I like Tennessee. I think they're undervalued. I think that the reason they're undervalued solely is the gap between Tennessee and Houston is not appropriate, right? So Houston, they've been phenomenal. They get credit for the body of work. And I say body of work, it's the last 5 seasons, right? So they're getting some credit there. They are the 1 seed. Tennessee is the same team. They're just playing a tougher conference, right? They both play super slow. They both play great defense. They're both good offensively. This number doesn't map to them where they are in relative to the number 1 seed in their region. So I like Tennessee here. I can make the case for making this number all the way down to plus 250. So it's the true odds certainly aren't that low. Like it's not that huge of a value, but it is for me. So I like Tennessee here plus 390. And it's almost solely coming from the gap on Houston, right? So the other one I like, we've talked about it a lot, is Kansas. I think that Kansas advancing in this bracket to the Sweet 16. You can play it to the Elite 8 if you want to. I think that there's a good shot here. They're obviously favored in this first game. I'll get questions all the time about the rollover parlay. I'm not recommending it because I think that they're going to close as a slight favorite or at even money pick a minus 110 against St. John's in the second round. That's why I'm not recommending the rollover. I know there's a perception that they would be a big underdog in that game. Looking at every number, looking at not only my numbers, but other numbers out there, most models are going to make them a 1-point dog to St. John's right now. And again, I think that if they show that they can go out there and beat Arkansas, I really, really think that I think that Kansas is getting a good number here to go to the Sweet 16.
All right. Kansas, Sweet 16 plus 235. Tennessee is sounds like it's in your Final Four, Mike, or at least you're betting on them being in the Final Four. And Tom, you've got 2 plays as well, and one of them is Tennessee to make the Final Four.
Yeah, I agree with everything Mike said about Tennessee. Just someone in the chat said they don't trust Rick Barnes. Don't fall into those narratives. They made the Elite 8 last year. Matt Painter couldn't make the Final Four till he did. All I used to hear is watch out for Syracuse. Watch out for Syracuse. Call Richmond and Vermont fans. Ask them if they're scared of Jim Boeheim. That guy went out in the first round more than any coach in the history of college basketball. So don't fall into the false narratives of March. Mike is 100% right about Tennessee. Last year, I think I just did a Midwest region breakdown that I sent in that'll be up on SportsLine. It reminds me of last year's Midwest region where I took Tennessee. Them and Purdue looked like they were on a collision course. And they played, and it was a close game. We had a couple of bad calls go against us late against Edie, but they were there. And you look at Tennessee's section of the bracket, I know Kentucky beat them twice. I don't know if Kentucky's even going to make the Sweet 16, but that bracket is nice. And I think Mike's right with the value here. I think them and Houston are on a collision course. Then you just step back, let them play that steel cage death match, which I'm sure will be the most physical game we've ever seen in the history of the NCAA tournament, and hope a couple of bounces go our way. But Mike hit it on the head. Plus 390 doesn't add up for me with Tennessee in that region.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you like VCU's number to make the Sweet 16.
Yeah, just that's my sleeper team. I made Tennessee an official play on Discord right before the show. VCU is just one of those, if you want to play again, I kind of like their draw. I like the 2 teams that they would probably have to play, and I think they have a shot as being one of those 11s, those deeper seeds that make the Sweet 16.
All right. Let's move on, Chip. Oh, Chip, go ahead. You wanted to comment on that.
Yeah, I mean, just about the coach narrative. There was a head coach in college basketball who in a 15-year span, he won the conference title 8 times, and he went to 6 Final Fours. And the storybook on him was he couldn't win the big one. His name was Dean Smith. And he went on to win 2 national championships before stepping aside with one of the greatest runs in NCAA tournament history. Like it's the book on you until it isn't. So don't go chasing those narratives.
Yeah, I do think the reverse is true, though, in terms of great coaches, how they can advance their team to maybe the next round in a tough matchup. And that, I think, Chip, is where maybe we can justify taking Michigan State as the South region winner.
Yeah, we've done this a lot over the last 2 days, but the things that I like about this Michigan State team are, number one, that they have, in true Tom Izzo fashion, the identity of just absolutely crashing after the boards. They've got this like depth on the front line where whether it's Kohler, you can interchange all these pieces out. You Trey Holloman is your savvy vet, but then you actually have a star in Jace Richardson who can be able to lead things and get you those difficult buckets that you need to be able to advance in close coin flip games that you are going to get in the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight. I think that they have a nice little corner of the South region. And so I like them to be able to get out. I think that this is a great price too at 5-1 for Sparty to make it back to the Final Four for the first time since 2019.
It does feel like, Tom, that the road to the Final Four for Michigan State is at least similar to that of Tennessee in the sense that, and maybe Houston's a lesser opponent than Auburn, mind you, but it does seem like their path to get there is, I don't want to say easy, but relative to, other seeds of that caliber, easier, correct?
Yeah, and you mentioned the coaching, Sia. Like, I always try to find if, like, Tom Izzo has a certain kind of team that when he has it, he usually makes a run. The last few years, like shooting a bunch of threes, and that's not a Tom Izzo team.
No.
This is a Tom Izzo team. They hammer you on the boards. They play. I think he really likes this team, the makeup of it, and that's the kind of teams he usually makes runs with. Is this one? And I'll be honest, it took me a while to fall in with Michigan State because I thought for a while, all right, they're gonna even out here at some point, but they just kept winning and winning, and they're doing it the way that he likes to coach. So yeah, they're interesting. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see him in the Final Four.
Nor would Larry Hartstein, because he had to leave the show early, as everybody knows, but he likes Michigan State to win the South as well at plus 500. Again, it's not just that Chip loves Michigan State to win the South. It's that, Chip, correct me if I'm wrong, you like them to win the South at plus 500. It's not like we're taking this at even money, right? Like, but this is a pretty good number on Michigan State.
Both?
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, it's like when I filled out my bracket, I've got Michigan State in my Final Four. This is a future that I am backing up with my bracket as well.
Right. And I just think the icing on the cake, though, is to like lay out the number at plus 500, because I think some people are like, oh, he just has Michigan State going to the Final Four. Well, that's true in your bracket, but you're also taking the bet at plus 500, which is a pretty good score.
And like Tennessee, I think we are getting a good value because they are in Auburn's region. Yeah. You know, like Duke minus 135 to make the Final Four, Auburn minus 105 or 110 or something like that. That is going to skew the numbers so that if you like somebody else, which I don't obviously in the East, but I do in the South, then you're going to be able to get a bigger payout on that.